As we ring in the new year, SEC play is here as Arkansas opens up against Auburn this coming weekend, and we talk about another new face making his way to the Arkansas football program.
You hear that? You hear that? That's special. There's a lot of lions, tigers, and bears, but there ain't but one razorback.
Madden for maybe the win. Oh! The follow is good. Arkansas in overtime. I think he just made SportsCenter again.
Arkansas is in hog heaven. They won the first ever national championship.
All I want you to do tonight is play your best. Don't worry about making a mistake. You can make a mistake, that's fine, as long as you're going 100 miles an hour.
Welcome into episode 59 of the Pig Weekly Podcast, your source for all things Arkansas Razorbacks. Episode 59 is brought to you by Homefield, home of premium vintage collegiate apparel. We talk about it week in, week out. Go check it out. If you're missing out, if you don't, you can use promo code Variety Sports to receive 15% off your first order. And that's Variety Sports in all caps. Thanks to, being part of the Variety Sports Network, listening to this show, you can get that 15% off. And we'll jump in here as some portal action as Arkansas. We've been kind of wondering, and the question has been answered. Former quarterback KJ Jefferson has now found his new home as he is headed to Central Florida to play for Gus Malzahn. He is going to be taking over a program down there as the new quarterback behind center, and I think it's a great fit for KJ. I think it's one of those. Gus runs a very similar style to Briles, so I don't think there's going to be a huge learning curve for KJ. I think he's going to be able to come in, really pick up that offense, and maybe show out in the Big 12 next year.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I appreciate the fact that he didn't go to another SEC school, so that'll be kind of easier to root for him in a sense. I definitely agree with you. I think he's going to be able to fit into that offensive scheme a little bit better. How quickly he's able to pick up kind of the lingo, the terminology on play calls and things of that nature will be critical for him, I think. But as far as just what he's asked to do, the reads he's required to make on RPO type plays is a lot more similar, I think, to the Kendall Briles offense that he thrived in. And I expect him to, kind of maybe have a bounce back year once he gets his sea legs under him down there. Wish him nothing but the best, man. I hope he balls out and gets drafted and the whole 9 yards. I love KJ, man. He's one of my favorite Hogs to come through in recent years, and it's hard not to root for him. Kind of hate how it ended and everything, but it's cool to see where he's finally landed and be able to root for him down there.
That's very true. Like you said, it makes it a lot easier to root for him knowing he's not going to be on an opposing SEC squad. So, now we can root for him to battle out in the Big 12 and, with a league with no defenses. So, he should have some boosted stats there on that side of it. But speaking of defense, you look at Arkansas. Arkansas took another hit this weekend as linebacker Jaheim Thomas entered the transfer portal. Things swirling around with that. Something around the lines of not really Arkansas using him, or some things about how it was originally kind of discussed when he was recruited here. Not sure on full details of that. Nothing's really came out about that, more than just a base statement of things didn't go as planned, essentially. So it's interesting to see that happen, as he was a guy we talked about in the previous weeks that we thought could be a big contributor next year, especially with how depleted the linebacker room was, and it just got a little bit more scarce. But I think we're going to have a very young linebacking room next year. You've got Sorey coming in from Georgia that should bring a little bit of experience, but besides that, unless you go out and pick up another one or two linebackers in the portal, this is going to be a young linebacker room with young sophomores, potentially true freshmen, having to step up and contribute early.
Yeah, I was kind of sad to hear about this one. I think there's probably something that went on behind the scenes that obviously us fans are unaware of. He didn't play either much or at all in our last two games. So there's something going on there. I don't know if he was fighting an injury. I think that was the speculation at the time, but nothing official. And then, it was pretty quiet there for the beginning of the portal entry session and whatnot. So he's kind of a late entry, as today is actually the last day you can enter the transfer portal. And I think he announced it 2 days ago or something like that. But long story short, I hate to lose him because he was such a baller when he was playing on the field. So I'm not 100% sure what fell out or what the expectation was from him going forward that we weren't able to meet for him. I don't know if finances were involved. I don't know. But long story short, I hate to lose him. I feel like it's definitely going to hurt more than maybe some of the other losses that we've suffered so far. Him and Chris Paul, them are going to hurt us next year. Replacing those guys, I mean, you can do your best to replace them, and obviously that we've done part of that, I think. But I think you still got some work to do to get the linebacker core kind of back to where it needs to be. Hoping, to your point, maybe some of these younger guys can really step up and fit into the system and do a good job. But it's definitely tough sledding sometimes in the SEC if you're a linebacker having to keep up with some of the fastest slot receivers and tight ends out there. So hopefully we can get kind of that position shored up and know what it's going to look like come springtime.
Yeah, that's so true. And if you think about it, him missing those final 2 games, even with not playing much in those final 2 games, he still led all defenders in tackles the entire season. So that just tells you how productive he was throughout the beginning and 3/4 of the season up until, like we said, we don't know what happened. It could be, I think the rumor is something happened. Like you said, we don't know if it's financial or if like it was scheming. I don't know, but it's one of those things where you hate to see it happen, but at this point you just got to move on. He's left, so can't spend too much time on that. We need to go out and recruit somebody that's going to come in and be able to take up that role. And that you got your entire linebacking core that needs replaced. So it's time to go to work. Pittman's already went out and addressed some needs. He did this last year with the secondary. So hopefully we can go out there, kind of have a same style portal haul this, as we finish up portal season. Like you said, it closes today, but technically opens up tomorrow. But that's for there, nobody else can enter the portal. So today was the last day, like Seth said, to enter the portal. Starting tomorrow, you can commit places, but no new entry into the portal will be allowed starting tomorrow through, I believe it's March.
I think it's May 1st. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure it's May 1st through May 15th will be the next portal opening to where you can enter the portal.
Yeah. And speaking of portal, Arkansas got another commitment today. Sam Pittman said he wanted to go out and get another wide receiver, and that's just what he did. I think Bobby Petrino has some ties and help with this one, as we got a commitment from Texas A&M transfer wide receiver Jordan Anthony. He's coming in he'll have 2 years of eligibility left, as he was a sophomore this season. Previous to being at Texas A&M, he was at Kentucky, where he was at his freshman year. Not a lot of contribution there, but he was a 4-star recruit in high school. A guy that started out at Kentucky, like I said, transferred to A&M, saw limited action there. I believe his stats on the season were 3 receptions for 14 yards. But he's also a guy that he's a track star. So he's fast. He's one of those guys that I feel like those 2 sports are easier to do hand in hand more than, say, trying to do football and baseball or something like that. So we know he's a guy that's coming in that has got some track speed. Like, you say a lot of guys have track speed, but he's one of those guys that he has
really
track
does.
speed. So
he actually is going to run track for the university.
So it'll be interesting to see how we kind of use him. Is he one of those type of guys that comes in and can contribute on some deep balls, but also has the speed to maybe some reverses or quick outs, bubble screens, things of that type of nature. So we'll be interested to see what Bobby Petrino does with him, adding him into a deep receiving core. As we mentioned, knock on wood, we haven't had anybody jump in the portal from the receiving core yet. I saw an article this weekend that, Seth and I talked about off show, where Sam Mbake is actually wanting to work his way back to being with the football program. Things went down as he was, we know he got hurt in fall practice, had that knee injury. There's no for sure. He came on another show and was talking about how, he was maybe late to some workouts and things as he was on crutches, and that kind of just piled up. And then I believe he said he got a speeding ticket, if I remember reading that article correctly, about, and so just a few things piled up there, and kind of was asked to leave the team. But I think he really is wanting to work his way back into being able to be on the team with these guys. He was a guy that had high expectations, high praise in fall camp. So he's a guy, if he can work his way back, maybe he can, work his way into some playing time next season.
Yeah, that was cool to hear, honestly, that maybe the ties aren't fully broken there, that he could come back and kind of be a cool redemption story for the university, maybe. That'd be a neat story for them to share if things work out well. I mean, if not, that's okay too. But then getting Jordan Anthony, that's another added bonus. I mean, I saw a stat where he runs like a 10.14 in the 100 meters, which is like Olympic level fast nearly. So that really is incredibly fast, more so than I think the everyday guys like you and I can really put into perspective. You compare that to some of the better speedy wide receivers around like the NFL, they're running 10.5s or slower. So I mean the speed is like really there, even more than a guy like Satinia, for example. I mean he's even faster than that. So um, that you can't coach that. That's one of those intangibles that you either have or you don't have, and that has the potential to make a player great if he is a coachable player on top of that. So excited to see that Bobby went out and got him. Obviously, there was some history there to your point. So hopefully he can come in and maybe even help the wide receivers all kind of learn together, since maybe he has a little bit of intuition on the system already. Obviously, the jargon and things of that nature. So I was really excited to see that. I was hoping we could get Evan Stewart, but haven't heard anything there yet. But anyway, this is still an exciting get to me. Obviously, the stats aren't really there yet for him. I think that's partially the reason why he was wanting to transfer, is to find somewhere where he can maybe get some playing time. And obviously, coming into a deep wide receiver room, I think the competition is going to be there, which is a good thing. But anyway, overall, really excited about our wide receiver core, the way it's shaking up. Could be definitely a good thing. And then realistically, if some of these guys do struggle to get playing time as a wide receiver, I mean, we've seen Coach Pittman get, a guy like Quincy McAdoo kind of be able to transfer out of that wide receiver position into a cornerback position where we were lacking and have great success. So there may be, a potential for some of these guys to get some playing time there. I really don't know. Obviously, special teams is a great opportunity as well, but getting a lot of guys with good speed, a lot of talent. So I'm excited to see kind of the way they're all utilized and how the depth chart lines out.
Yeah, that's true, and that's my only question mark going into this, having him come in, is he's now in his third school. So is it really an issue with him, or is it like he went into Kentucky, couldn't find playing time, thought he would get some playing time at A&M, that didn't really come to fruition. So is it almost the system, or is it him? So I'm interested to see if he can come in and really work his way up the depth chart, because we mentioned it earlier, all of our starters are back, so the playing time is going to be far and few between, unless Petrino's just going to overhaul this offense, which hopefully that's the goal, and have more success with more personnel next season.
Very true.
And then on the note of guys returning, it was speculated that he was going to be back, but we have official confirmation from Lorando Snacks Johnson that he will be back for another year running it back with Arkansas. So that'll be fantastic for our secondary and the defensive backs to have his leadership back one more season, especially you see McGlothern leaving. So he needs to step up and kind of take on that role of the experienced guy in the room. It's still going to be a young room. Both Al Walcott and Dwight McGlothern are gone. You got Jalen Braxton back. That will be a true sophomore. And so you're going to be young in that DB room. So it's going to take a guy like him to come in and kind of really step up and be that vocal leader in that position group room, I believe.
Yeah, I expect that for sure. And I think maybe wishful thinking, but I kind of expect Jaheim Singletary to step up a good bit this coming year as well. Got a good year underneath his belt, played well, had to sit out a couple of games due to a minor injury, and then had to kind of work his way back into some playing time because Braxton was playing so well. So a similar thing happened with McGlothern as well, honestly. So there's kind of some rotating in and out there, but I expect some of those guys that are coming back, even if they are young like Braxton, to kind of be the leaders for the new faces that are going to be coming in. But definitely Snacks Johnson, you could tell he was a natural leader last year. Really kind of a high energy type of player. So it's great to get that back. Somebody that's vocal, communicates well, makes sure guys are doing their job, holds everyone accountable. That's big. So excited to have him back officially. I mean, I think it was kind of a done deal after that last game that he was wanting to come back. So it's nice to see it on paper, though.
Yeah, that's true. It's good to have a guy like that's going to be back. And I think he's a guy that plays with a lot of emotion, that can really be a hype guy. If I remember correctly, he's the guy that really got us back in the game right away in the A&M game with that quick pick six, right out the half. So he's a guy that can be a game changer when he needs to be. So, like we said, it'll be interesting to see how that DB room looks next year. Like you said, you've got Jalen Braxton coming back. Jaheim Singletary is a guy that had high expectations, an extreme talent that came over from Georgia to an already deep secondary that he was kind of one of the later guys to come in. So, like you said, a full season under his belt, getting a full off season, can he come back next year and kind of be a lockdown starter compared to that rotational effort that we had this year? And so, like we said, we'll keep you updated on the portal news as we keep finding out more things. I think we're getting near the end of what Arkansas is trying to do. It's like Pittman said, I think we're looking at maybe trying to get one or two more offensive linemen, hopefully two, three, maybe some linebackers that is much needed. Besides that, I think we're almost getting there to where we're going to be in a comfortable spot going into 2024 in spring practice and everything. So we'll keep you up to date there. We'll take a quick break here and we'll be back with Arkansas basketball.
You know what I like? I like to be comfortable. I also love representing my favorite sports teams. And in the Clutch, I am able to have the best of both worlds. In the Clutch Apparel is your one-stop shop for all things sports. They have officially licensed gear from all your favorite teams and players from the NHL, MLB, NFL, and more. They have sports classic tees from yesteryear and beyond. Check out their full website in the link down below. When you enter the promo code Variety Sports, you get 10% off everything site-wide. Feel comfortable with your sports apparel and go over to their website now at intheclutch.com. And don't forget to use our code Variety Sports to get 10% off.
All right, we are back now as Arkansas men's basketball bounced back with a good win on December 30th versus UNC Wilmington. This is a UNC Wilmington team that went into Rupp Arena and defeated Kentucky. So they're one of those smaller schools that is most likely going to be a tournament team this year when it's all said and done at the end of the year when March rolls around. But Arkansas got this win 106-90, so got a nice 16-point win on top of cracking 100 for the first time this season. That's very unheard of in college basketball nowadays. So it's great to see Arkansas do that on their home court right before you're going into conference play. Leading scorers for Arkansas in this game were Keon Minifield. He exploded for 32 points in this game, which was a career high for him. You had Tremont Mark with 18 points and Jalen Graham with 16 points. Leading rebounders, you had Trevor in Brazil with 8, followed by Devo Davis and Jalen Graham with 6 each, and Chandler Lawson with 5. Shooting-wise, Arkansas was hot in this game as they came out and shot 52.4% from the field, going 33 of 63. And they shot 35% from the three-point line, going 7 of 20. And they shot 76.7% from the free throw line, going 33 of 43. So a fantastic win here, and I think this team is starting to mesh well, especially with the addition of Keon Minifield.
Yeah, it was unreal to watch him this game, especially in the second half. It seemed like he really was seeing the court well. He facilitated a lot in this game outside of just his scoring, which was unreal. He was getting to the basket, hitting some threes. I mean, it seemed like a lot of the stuff he was throwing up was just finding its way into the bottom of the net. But overall, I mean, he runs the pick and roll game for us better than probably any other point guard we've got. And I think you've seen that these last few games where Jalen Graham's minutes have gone up and his production has gone up tremendously with Minifield on the floor. And I think that's an intangible that you can't really even put your finger on specifically on how much that impacts the game for us. Provides us with a little bit more of a consistent offensive scheme compared to here's Tremont Mark with the basketball, isolation, street ball kind of style. Everybody's trying to slash around and sometimes the ball gets stagnant. I think Minifield has really helped improve just the overall basketball momentum on our offensive possessions. Everybody seems to be moving, even without the ball, a little bit better than they used to. He's, pointing guys open and things of that nature. So he's been extremely fun to watch. This was definitely kind of a coming out game for him. He's been good the last two games that he was in as well, but this one was just an awesome game for him. So that was fun to watch as well. And then another thing that really, really sticks out to me is Brazil and Jalen Graham kind of getting back to where they need to on the rebounding side of things. Nothing crazy, no big double-double or nothing like that, but being consistent on rebounding and pulling down a couple of occasional offensive rebounds. That's one of the things that will give you playing time if you are able to go in there and steal a rebound or two every now and then. That's big. That's one thing Musselman, kind of preaches over and over and over. So seeing those guys step up a little bit and kind of get back to rhythm there was good. And then Devo Davis didn't have just a ton of points or anything crazy. He did have back-to-back threes. And that was awesome to see. They left him open, and Keon was able to kick it out to him. He was able to kind of move well without the ball and hit some spot-up shots. Then one was a step back on his own, which was beautiful. And his plus-minus, I think, in this game was like 21, which is very incredible. And I think Minifield's was like a 17, which is also with a plus-minus that big, you're going to win some games from those two guys especially. So overall, like you said, just fantastic outpouring of offense in this game. We shot a ton of free throws. There was a lot of fouls called. That was one of the things the announcers, I think, got tired of kind of late in the game. But there was some dinky fouls kind of called later on in the game that maybe ballooned the free throws on both sides. It wasn't just one-sided towards Arkansas. I think there was a combination of over 90 free throws taken in this game. So it was close, something like that. So overall, ton of free throws. That definitely helped us hit that 106 mark on top of us shooting a really, high percentage. Great game.
Yeah. It's like you said, I think Arkansas hit the double bonus with like 12 minutes left in the second half. So that tells you there how much fouls or how many fouls were being called in this game. Arkansas shot 43 free throws, just Arkansas. I think, like you said, I think it's more around the 70 mark, but that's still a lot of free throws in one game if you look at it. So, but Arkansas did a good job converting those. Like you said, love the addition of Minifield and what he's able to do, and I can't wait to see the more playing time he gets, the better and faster this offense looks. Coming into this game, I think Arkansas was the fourth fastest offense in the SEC already, and now you're adding Minifield that is just going to speed this up more. So it's going to be interesting to see with this first test of Auburn coming into Bud Walton Saturday to open up conference play to see what we look like and what our rotation looks like. Do you keep Minifield in the starting lineup? I think that's a definite, but it's going to be interesting to see how much adjusts the rotation going forward now, because you saw him sub out almost hockey style 5 in, 5 out right there at the beginning of the game. So he was probably trying to still tinker with this lineup, but I think we're getting in the right direction. So I'm interested to see how we attack Auburn and the first conference game of the season.
Yeah, me too. Kind of to hit on that, I think we played 14 players in this game. Granted, Cade Arbogast had like 2 seconds at the end of the game. Pinion had 2 minutes. Dennis J. Harris had 2 minutes.
Battle was hurt.
Kyle Mitchell, Battle was hurt some. Kyle Mitchell played 2 minutes and some change. So, definitely kind of got a couple extra guys in there. And that was actually before we got a decent lead towards the end of this game. So, I think he was just trying to figure out who was going to have the hot hand because we had missed a few shots early. Caleb Battle actually went 0 for 5 in this game. So, it's incredible that you can score 106 points and one of your leading scorers only had 2 free throw points. So that's a good thing. We talked about it earlier in the season that we thought this team had that potential. If somebody has a bad night, it doesn't matter because somebody else can have a great night, and you've seen that in this game. So perfect example of that. Definitely provides some encouragement, I think, for conference play, whereas the beginning of this season's kind of been a little bit up and down. I don't want to, count our chickens before they hatch, but it seems to me that over the last 3 games with Minifield kind of getting his feet wet and really starting to understand his teammates and the game flow and everybody's tendencies and communications and things of that nature, feels like we're starting to play Razorback basketball on a more consistent level. The defensive effort's been a little bit better. Granted, Wilmington scored 90 points, but they are really good. Like they've got a kid, Trezarian White, he's going to play in the NBA very likely from a smaller school like this. He's that level of a talent. So I think he scored 28 points on us. So he single-handedly, was about
off
a third
the
of
bench
their
as
points. Yeah, off the bench, which he's been coming off the bench all year, and everybody knows, and he still plays 30 minutes. But anyway, he even said he was phenomenal and hard to stop. We did have some good possessions against him, but then he beat us on a few as well. But overall, I have seen some improvement just around rotations and off-ball defending. keeping guys from getting to their spots as easily as they want to. So that helps keep guys from getting as many open looks on kick out threes and stuff like that. So overall, we are improving. It's visible. You can see it. The stats are there around it too. But yeah, I'm really enjoying kind of seeing the progression that this team's made, especially over the last like week and a half. It feels palpable, the improvements that we've been able to make. So it's got me a little bit excited for conference play to get a little bit more of a reality check on where we actually are. This was a great team. We've had some good wins already this year, had some bad losses already this year. So let's see how consistent we can get in conference play and against, week in and week out tough opponents.
Yeah, that's true. And so we'll jump over to women's basketball, where they took on Incarnate Word on the 31st, and they got the win 67-48 in this game, where leading scorers for Arkansas were none other than Talia Scott with 24 points, followed by Miriam Dowdle with 13 points, and Samara Spencer and Sailor Poffenbarger with 9 each. Leading rebounders were Sailor Poffenbarger with 19 boards, followed by Michaela Daniels and Miriam Dowdle with 5 each, and Talia Scott and Samara Spencer with 3 each. Shooting wise, Arkansas shot 38.9% from the field, going 21 of 54. 28.6% from the 3-point line, going 8 of 28, and 85% from the free throw line, going 17 of 20. So, great game by Arkansas. They got the win here. Not as high scoring as, we're used to, but they still were able to grind out the win here. Talia Scott, there's not much to say that we already haven't said throughout these first few weeks of the season. And I think she's going to continue to ball out as we go into SEC play and they take on Kentucky this weekend. And then Sailor Poffenbarger is, like we've said, rebounding machine, pulling down nearly 20 boards a game. It's fantastic. And the thing that I'm noticing with this team, you're starting to see a lot more contribution and output from Miriam Dowda. She's really starting to contribute a lot on not only on the point side, but also with those rebounds. And so Arkansas has got themselves in a good spot going into conference play, 12-3. I think that's a really great start for this team, especially with kind of how things ended last year with, the up and down season. Kentucky comes in 7-7. So, it's I think a good game to start out with SEC play, a mid-tier kind of team that hopefully go in and get the win, kind of set yourself up to start off the SEC on the right foot in a strong start.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. They've been fun to watch. They play defense better than I think a lot of people give them credit for, forcing some turnovers, getting some easy looks that way. And then this game, they didn't get to the line just a ton, but 20 attempts is respectable, and hitting 85% of those, you can't ask for anything better than that. And then we know this team's going to hit shots here and there and get streaky. They did their thing, man. They really did. They've been fun to watch. And then some of the extra possessions that we get from Sailor Poffenbarger is just you can't really put a metric on that with how much extra that gets you. Yeah, you limit a possession for the opponent, plus you get yourself an extra possession, sometimes maybe 2, get a lot of extra points that way, and you can kind of slow a game down in a sense if you want to, if you can get a few offensive rebounds. So she's been a game changer for us, almost to the extent that I think Talia Scott is. So you can't say enough about those two players right there. And then you got, like you said, you got a lot of other pieces that are kind of fitting in well around them and getting better and better each week. So great team win. Neighbors has got this team playing pretty well at the right time going into conference play.
Yeah, so true. And then as we wrap up basketball news here, Keon Minifield, that fantastic performance, scoring the career high 32 points, was named SEC Player of the Week. And I did say Player of the Week, not Co-Player of the Week. So Arkansas is owning that for the week. Finally, on the men's side, not getting stuck with those co's. Talia Scott's been leading the women's side there with all of those SEC Freshmen of the Week. Like we mentioned, 5 in the first 7 weeks is pretty good. Not this week, unfortunately, but I bet there's more to come in the future if she keeps playing like she does. And with that, we'll kind of start wrapping up here. We got a lot of upcoming events, like we said. Both men's and women's teams will be entering conference play starting this weekend. Arkansas, the women's team, will be playing on the road at Kentucky. Like I said, Kentucky is 7-7 coming into conference play, so it'll be a good start for the women to take on this average Kentucky team. Hopefully, go into Kentucky and get the win there. And then you flip over to Arkansas men's basketball. Saturday the 6th, they'll be taking on Auburn at 1:00. So first conference game of the year. I expect Bud to be packed. This Arkansas Auburn matchup is always a big matchup. 2 years ago we had them number 1 in Bud when we got the upset there and beat them in Bud as we were ranked highly too. And then last year went on the road with a tough matchup there, as we didn't get the win there, but it was always a chippy, almost very intense game for these two teams. You got Arkansas women's basketball coming back home, taking on Georgia on Sunday. So they got a quick turnaround after they play in Kentucky to come back home. Arkansas swimming and diving will have a meet at Auburn on Tuesday the 9th. And then Arkansas men's basketball will go on the road to Georgia at 8 o'clock next Wednesday on the 10th. So this conference play is about to, get blown wide open, and we're about to start getting back into two games a week, and we'll have more stats and Arkansas basketball news for you. And before you know it, like I said last week, and it's almost here. In this month, we got something good coming for you. As we're getting close to baseball season, we'll have a fun event that we'll let you know about as we get closer. We have some more interviews down the road that you'll be interested to take a listen at. But until then, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go check out our YouTube page. That's where you can catch all those Hog Talk segments and those interviews we have. Go back and listen to old ones. We have a few on there, more coming. So that'll be fantastic. Hit that subscribe button. Help us continue to grow and give you more content. And thank you for listening to today's episode of Woo Pig Weekly. And we'll be right back here next week.